What is behavioral economics? Imagine this. You say you'll eat healthy, but then you grab chips instead of salad. You plan to save money, but you end up spending it on something you didn't need. Sounds familiar? That's where behavioral economics comes in. Behavioral economics is the study of why people don't always make logical or smart decisions, especially when it comes to money, time, and everyday choices. Regular economics says people always make rational or smart choices. Behavioral economics says not really. People are human. They get emotional, distracted, and sometimes make silly or absurd choices, even when they know better. Behavioral economics combines ideas from economics, how people make choices, psychology, how people think and feel, to understand real behavior. Let us look at some key concepts in behavioral economics. Key concepts. 1. Loss aversion. We hate losing things more than we like gaining things. Let's look at a classic example of how people react to winning and losing in different scenarios. Imagine you have two options. Option A, you are given £1,000 right now, a sure thing. Option B, you have a 50% chance of winning £2,000, but a 50% chance of winning nothing. Even though option B could give you more money, most people will choose option A because they want to avoid loss. To understand this better, let us look at another example. Imagine you are given £1,000. You feel good about the £1,000. Now, imagine you lose £1,000, say, in an investment or a bad decision. The pain of losing that £1,000 feels much stronger than the pleasure you would have felt from gaining the same amount. This means that the emotional impact of losing something is stronger than the emotional impact of gaining something of the same value. For example, people might make decisions based on avoiding losses, like holding onto a losing stock, rather than taking risks that could lead to a gain, because of the fear of loss. The basic idea is that losses are psychologically more powerful than gains, meaning they hurt more than gains feel good. 2. Present bias. We care more about now than later. Imagine you have an important test tomorrow. You know you should spend the evening studying to do well, but your favorite video game is calling your name. Even though you know that studying will help you get a better grade and feel less stressed, the idea of playing the game now feels way more exciting and rewarding. Present bias is what happens when you choose the video game now, even though studying will help you in the long term. The pleasure of playing the game in the moment outweighs the long-term benefit of studying for the test. Present bias makes you focus on immediate rewards, the fun of playing the game, rather than future benefits, the better grade you'll get by studying. You know studying will help you in the long run, but the immediate pleasure of gaming is so much more tempting. This is a classic case of putting off important tasks because your brain wants to enjoy things right now, even when waiting would be a smarter choice in the long run. 3. Mental accounting. We treat money differently depending on where it comes from or what it's for. Imagine you get £200 as a gift or win it from a contest. Now, imagine you earn £200 from your job. Even though it's the same amount of money, you might treat the £200 from the gift differently than the £200 you earned. With the gift money, you might think, this is free money. I'll spend it on something fun like a concert ticket or a new video game. With the earned money, you might think, this is my hard-earned money. I should save it for something important or spend it wisely. You're mentally treating the two amounts of money differently, even though they're the same. The gifted money feels like extra money, so you're more likely to spend it impulsively. The earned money feels like it should be saved or used more responsibly because it's tied to work and effort. This is mental accounting. You categorize and treat money differently depending on where it comes from, even though the value of the money is the same. 4. Endowment effect. We think something is more valuable just because we own it. Imagine you're selling your house. You've lived there for several years, and it holds a lot of memories for you. You've painted the walls a certain color, set up a garden just the way you like it, and even remodeled the kitchen. Because you've personalized and invested so much into the house, you believe it's worth more than what the market might suggest. You list your house for a much higher asking price even though similar houses in your neighborhood are selling for much lower. Why? Because you've lived there and have emotional attachment to the property, you overvalue it. The memories and the changes you've made to the house give you a sense that it's special and worth more than other similar homes. The endowment effect makes you overvalue your house just because it's yours, even though its actual market value is likely closer to the market price. You're attached to the house and the memories associated with it, which leads you to feel like it's worth more than what others are willing to pay for it. As a result, you may be reluctant to lower the price, even if buyers point out that similar homes are priced lower. This can delay the sale or lead to a longer time on the market. 5. Nudge. Nudging is the idea that you can encourage people to make better decisions without directly telling them what to do. It works by changing the way choices are presented to make certain options easier or more appealing. One of the most famous examples of nudge theory is the use of automatic enrollment for retirement savings. In many companies, employees have the option to save part of their salary for retirement through a pension plan. However, in the past, employees often had to actively choose to enroll in the plan, and many didn't bother to sign up. A simple change called automatic enrollment is introduced. Instead of requiring employees to opt into the retirement savings plan, they are automatically enrolled, but they have the option to opt out if they don't want to participate. This small change dramatically increased participation in retirement savings plans because people tend to stick with the default option, they don't opt out. The nudge was making enrollment automatic or the default option, which subtly guided people to make better financial decisions without forcing them. This idea was so successful that it has been widely adopted in many countries and companies around the world. 6. Bounded rationality. Bounded rationality means that people don't have the time, information, or ability to make the perfect decision. Instead, they make decisions that are good enough. Satisficing is a strategy for dealing with bounded rationality. It means choosing the option that meets your minimum requirements, rather than searching for the perfect or best option. For example, a person needs to buy a new phone but doesn't have time to research every single model or compare all the options available. They don't have the full information or resources to make a perfect decision. Instead of searching for the absolute best phone, they decide to buy the one they find that has the features they need, like a good camera, and enough storage and is within their budget. It's not the perfect phone, but it's good enough for their needs. 7. Heuristics and biases. Heuristics are simple rules or shortcuts that help people make decisions quickly and with less effort. They are like mental shortcuts that make problem solving easier, but they don't always lead to the best choice. Biases are patterns of thinking that can lead to mistakes or irrational decisions. They often happen because of the heuristics we use. Common biases are anchoring bias, availability bias, representativeness bias. Let's look into these in detail. Anchoring bias. The first number or idea we see sticks in our mind and affects our decisions. Imagine you're shopping for a new jacket and you walk into a store. The first jacket you see is priced at £300. It seems pretty expensive, but you keep looking around. Later, you find another jacket that's £150. Even though £150 is still a lot of money, it feels like a better deal because it's cheaper than the £300 jacket. The first price you saw acts as an anchor that makes the second price seem more reasonable. Your brain gets anchored to the first number you see, and that influences how you judge the price of other things, even if they're not directly related. Without that first expensive jacket, you might have considered £150 too high for a jacket. But since £300 was the first price, £150 seems like a bargain. This is anchoring. Your judgment is influenced by the first number you see, which ends up shaping how you perceive the next piece of information. Availability bias happens when people make decisions or judgments based on the information they can easily recall, often influenced by recent events or vivid examples, rather than looking at the full picture. Example: imagine you watch a lot of news stories about airplane crashes. After seeing these stories, you might start thinking that flying is dangerous, even though statistically, air travel is very safe. Because the crashes are more available in your memory, you've seen them recently, you might overestimate the risk of flying. This is availability bias. You judge the likelihood of an event based on how easily examples come to mind, not on the actual facts or data. Representativeness bias is when people make decisions based on how similar something is to a stereotype or typical example, rather than using actual statistics or probabilities. For example, in a classic experiment, participants were given a description of a person. Tom is 45 years old, has a strong interest in poetry, is introverted, and enjoys spending time in quiet settings. Then, participants were asked to choose which of the following two statements was more likely. Tom is a librarian. Tom is a farmer. Many participants chose option 1, that Tom is a librarian, because the description of Tom, quiet, introverted, poetic, seemed to fit the stereotype of a librarian. The representativeness bias leads people to judge the likelihood of an event, Tom being a librarian or a farmer, based on how well the description fits their mental image or stereotype of what a librarian or farmer should be like. However, statistically, there are far more farmers than librarians in the general population, so it would be more likely for Tom to be a farmer, despite the fact that his description seems to fit the librarian stereotype better. This example shows how we tend to make judgments based on how much something matches a category or stereotype, instead of considering the actual base rates or probabilities. In summary, the core message of behavioral economics is that humans are not perfectly rational, but predictably irrational. If you found this video helpful, smash that like button and subscribe to us. Share this video with someone who will enjoy learning about how we make decisions. Thanks for watching.